When I really understood what dating and relationships were as a man, I was so angry at the world for the fact that I didn't understand it up to that point. And I want to talk a little bit about how I ended up, how that situation occurred. Now, as I mentioned in my prior video, when I was growing up, I didn't have a father figure in my life. I didn't have any definition of what a man was supposed to be. I grew up as the oldest of five, three other brothers and a sister in a single family home. So, my definition of a father, a husband, a man was very, very skewed in terms of it was what information, things I saw, maybe things I saw on TV or I heard other people talk about or other male figures that maybe I encountered at school or just out and about. But I really didn't understand anything. So it was very, very shocking to me when I really started to come to terms with what this whole relationship dating thing really was and how it all worked. Now, I don't think there was one particular like shining moment where the light bulb came on and magically everything came together and I started to see the truth of what it is. You know, so to speak, that eureka moment. But I really think there were two, at least there were two examples of situations I had involving women that kind of were key, I would say, in getting me to kind of start to see what the truth was. First one was back when I was 16 and in high school. The girl in the marching band, I let's put it this way. I really, I was a scrawny kid. I had no chance with really any of the attractive girls or really, let's be honest, with any girls at all. But I thought I'd give it a shot with her. Now, she wasn't really well liked by anybody, and as it turns out, the real reason was because there's no nice way to put it. She was crazy. She unfortunately had a lot of medical conditions and a lot of mental conditions, and as I later found out, she didn't like taking her meds. So she would behave pretty wild and definitely in a high school scenario, yeah, she was something else. And yes, I've learned very, very well. You don't get involved with crazy. But as it was, I was 16. I'm like, whatever. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Well, I'll share the story maybe another time. I'm not really feeling like going into all the granular details about it. But needless to say, she rejected me. And being that I already had a life filled with rejection, obviously growing up in poverty, dealing with all the struggles that I had of just surviving day to day, that was like just literally like a knife in my back. It destroyed me. And obviously looking back, it was nothing, and I probably was the best thing that I wasn't involved with her in any particular way. But to somebody who was already lacked a father figure, lacked any sort of stability in my life, it just ruined me. And it took me out of even attempting dating, even thinking about the possibility of dating or approaching a woman for years. And the second time that, I finally said maybe I'll give it a try. It was 6, 7 years later. And it was a coworker. I was working a retail job at that point in time, and I know right off the bat you shouldn't get involved with coworkers. I know that well and true to this day. But again, you don't have you don't have a father figure. You don't have good information around you to really understand. You just, as I did with a lot of my life, early on. Even 20s, even into my 30s, it was all me attempting to figure it out as I went. But I said, okay, I think it was getting around Valentine's Day. I don't remember if this was exactly on Valentine's Day or it was close to Valentine's Day. But I thought, you know what? I'll do a cute gift, thinking, okay, somehow I was going to convince her, whatever else the case was. So I did a little, stuffed animals. I didn't have a lot of money, so I put a couple stuffed animals in a cute T-shirt and gave it to her as a gift at work. I thought it was a great idea. She didn't think it was a great idea. Not only did I get the gift back, but I got needless to say, a very clear message from the manager that unless it was work related, I was absolutely not to be talking to her about anything else whatsoever. And yeah, you can imagine being that was real, being already having had that rejection from years back and now, kind of putting my foot out there a little bit, just dipping my toe in the water just to see what was going on. Yeah, that was another strong stinger, and again, I didn't understand. I didn't know what was going on. What was I doing wrong? Why was this not, why was this not working the way it was supposed to? And at that point in time, really the only things, I think that was right around the time that the internet was starting to be a thing, but I was poor. I didn't even have a computer. I didn't even have a computer at home at that point in time. Pretty much I was poking around at or using the computers at work because I didn't even own a computer for a couple more years after that I ended up buying it on my own. And you know, guys, we when you don't have I'm trying to think how to put this. When you already have had your life filled with rejection, why is there not a father figure in my life? Why does my mother always scream and yell at me? Why am I constantly fighting with my siblings about things? Why am I poor? Why do I have no money in my life, right? I didn't understand. And in turn, I didn't understand that, I was like thinking, oh, hey, if I just go and, act all, do these cute little things, or if I just, reach out and try to, present myself in a certain way, then I'm going to catch these women's interest. And I didn't know I had no social skills. I had no game. I had no I didn't have money. I didn't dress well. I didn't go to the gym, so I was, let's be honest, I was scrawny little guy. I didn't understand any of these concepts because I never had a father figure in my life to talk about these things to help me understand what attracts women, what are they even interested in. And the thing is that once that kicked in, and they kind of call it the red pill rage, where there's a from the Matrix movie. Uh, there's a red pill that if the protagonist took when the protagonist takes the red pill, it opens up the world. It kind of shows the reality of what really is, not this vision of what it should be or what was presented to people. And I got angry. I was so angry. I was angry at my mother. I was angry at my siblings. I was angry at the women who had rejected me. Honestly, I was angry at most women. Let's truth be told, I had all this hostility and anger everywhere because I didn't understand what I was supposed to do. And that red pill rage that I went through was just brutal. It was just brutal because I really felt like I didn't have any opportunity whatsoever at doing anything. And that led me down a pretty dark path for a number of years. And I don't want to talk about that here in this video because that I want to kind of make it its own video and I don't want to take this one too long. But I think a lot of I hopefully maybe I'm and I'm kind of rambling here a little bit, but I think a lot of guys struggle with that same thing. I think there's a lot of us, even those of us who are in our 40s right now, that are still trying to figure things out in our lives because of that trauma that we've had, as a child and oftentimes stretching into our later years. So I'll pick up that story in maybe in the next video. But I want to kind of ask you guys, is that something, especially for the guys, is that something you experienced growing up when you didn't have, for those who didn't have a father? Did you struggle to figure out what dating and relationships were all about? To even know what it was that you were trying to do? Please feel free to let me know in the comments. Obviously, like, subscribe. If you think this video might have some value to somebody else out there, please feel free to share it. Thank you, and I'll see you all in the next video.